Hey guys, this is Jesse Zaragoza with iRake Mentality Podcast. Thanks for tuning into the show. Our purpose here with iRake Mentality is basically to unite the baseball community in Chicagoland and beyond with former pros, current pros, men's leagues players, little league coaches and dads, fathers, travel teams, hitting instructors, and basically building the community for a bigger purpose here. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Thanks for tuning in to the iRake Mentality Podcast today. Basically, what I wanted everyone to do is have a baseball community of individuals that we could get together and talk baseball and incorporate businesses and connections throughout the Chicagoland area, including, travel dads. We're able to get, guests on the show that have played baseball professionally, that are currently playing professionally, that, are around the area to help other businesses and the youth of America and the next generation to grow. So that's the purpose of this podcast. And today we're going to have a guest who's very special to me, one of my good friends. I've played with him for a very long time. He's a multi-champion, plays in multi-leagues, played professionally, played collegiately, and he's overall a great human being, very humble. Into the show. He's a friend of the show here. And without further ado, I want to introduce our guest and our first guest of the iRake Mentality Podcast here, Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega, the shortstop for the MSL All-Stars.
Ryan Vega.
Shortstop number 7, Ryan Vega.
Ryan, you are a baseball hustler.
Ryan Vega with the man on.
Ryan Vega, he actually plays in our league. He's really good.
Ryan Vega is short. Ryan Vega jacks at the left field.
He will charge teams to come out and play. He's that good.
Shortstop.
Grounds 1 to Vega.
Ryan Vega.
Number 7, Ryan Vega. Shortstop.
He's the smoothest thing since like Skippy's peanut butter rub.
Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega. Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega. Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega. Ryan Vega.
Ryan Vega. Ryan Vega. Ryan Vega.
Shortstop, Ryan Vega.
What up, Ryan? Welcome to the show. Boo.
What's going on, Jesse? How are you?
Good, man. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Excited for the show. As you can see, I don't usually have a traveling booing section, but that's my dad, 100%. He's always been a big supporter of mine, but he wants me to have a little edge to me as well. So he always boos me whenever he goes watches.
That's awesome. My dad boos me all the time too.
Yeah, even in person. Earlier today when we were at the cages, I
he definitely was. So tell me a little bit about what interests you in coming onto the iRake Mentality Podcast today.
Oh, geez. I mean, it was everything that you said already, not kissing your ass at all. But, I think that, anybody who's going to start something like this and with the intentions behind it that you have and really growing the community. And I think that there's, everyone can admit that we have some pretty exciting leagues. We have some pretty great players, some awesome personalities and some great teams that have been playing in parks, from the 70s, in the 80s, back when our parents were playing. And I think that there's a lot of rich history in Chicago baseball that maybe a lot of people don't know the history. A lot of new kids, that are starting men's league and unfortunately wrapping up their college career or pro career. So I think only good things can come from this. This is something that Vega baseball, me, my father, and my brother, we train kids throughout the Chicagoland area, and it's always, we're always referring someone to the next person and networking. And we realize that, we're not going to grow unless we have the help of some supporters and connections. So, ultimately wanted to hop on here and, kind of walk through some Chicago baseball. There's probably going to be some criticism in there a little bit. And, there's obviously a lot of teams, so there's got to be a best league. But, obviously, it boils down to just fun, and we're all adults, taking time out of our day to do this. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. But appreciate you having me.
Awesome, man. Well, it's great to have you. Let's talk a little bit about your early years, bro. Who is Ryan Vega? You heard the intro. It's Ryan Vega this, Ryan Vega that. You hear it all over the different podcasts and different live streams. Tell us, where did Ryan Vega get his start? Who's the ultimate guy that, took the reins and said, I'm going to build this kid and make him who he is?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that question, I think it goes back to, a lot of our same stories, which is, because my dad played baseball, right? He grew up here in Chicago as well, and his dad did not play baseball. He always wanted to, but didn't get the opportunity. So when my dad was able to play baseball, he was able to get that enjoyment. And my dad started playing when he was 9, and he has a great story of how he started because he had to raise $100, for the league fee, and $100 back in the day was a good amount of money. And he used Chicago winters, and the heavy snowfall to shovel driveways and shovel, sidewalks so that he can raise that $100. And once he got it and he started playing baseball, it was just it was off from there. He grew up in the city as well, like I said, around the Hermosa area, Belcragen area. So
Okay.
he played at Prosser High School. He played 4 years of varsity there. Went on to play at North Park University. Had a cup of coffee in pro ball, and unfortunately, he hurt his knee playing basketball, which that was always something he told me to stay away from.
Guys, stay away from basketball. I know it's great cardio. I know my guy Julio Medina. Shout out to Julio. He plays a lot of basketball. We got Greg
Yeah.
Ludwig. Shout out Greg. He plays a ton of basketball. Guys, careful out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think at our age as well, we're not going pro anymore, so it's okay. But for the kids coming up, you do have to weigh your options, and I know it's fun. And believe me, I played a lot more basketball growing up than I did baseball. But you got to put those things aside sometimes. And but anyways, yeah. So he really got me into it. Kind of had the same story. He said, "You're not playing until you're 9 because t-ball, and when you're such a little kid like that, you're picking dingleberries."
Wait.
You're
You didn't play
chasing
baseball
butterflies.
till you were 9 years old?
Yeah, I didn't play any. I kind of just, he was out in the front yard and just throwing me wiffle balls, and we were playing with the neighborhood kids. So I grew up with my cousin. He was pretty much like a big brother to me. He lived in the apartment above me. I was living with my brother, obviously, a little bit younger, and then we had 2 childhood friends from across the street, Alex and Jeremy. Shout out to y'all. And we would just play sports. I think back in the day, kids were playing outside a lot more and just doing natural movements and playing different games, running bases, pinners, off the wall, all these games that really trained my arm before I can even play baseball. And then, once I started playing at 9 years old at Chopin Park over on the north side, started playing at Portage Park as well. And then, when it came down to high school, it changed a little bit, but that's kind of how I got my start. And, I started at 9 years old and, never really looked back since. And it's been a blast so far.
That's great, man. I think that's where everyone starts, right? With their dad in the backyard. I think that's where
Yeah.
dreams start to mold themselves in order to want to be what they want to become. So is your dad still involved in baseball, or is he just kind of watching his son just kind of dominate Sunday ball?
No, not anymore, man. Maybe 10 years ago, but yeah, he's still training. So we still have Vega baseball, and that's where we train kids throughout the Chicagoland area. But right now he lives in Naperville, so he trains kids out of multiple facilities in the Naperville area, travel teams as well. So right now, one of our bigger travel teams, the Romeoville Titans. Shout out to you guys. Doing camps with them on every Friday, and he's got a pretty booked schedule at this point, and he's been doing it since 2007, really, and it all started in that Naperville area, which is a pretty big powerhouse when it comes to baseball. So that's what he's doing. He hasn't played in probably close to 20 years, 10, 20 years, and this was actually his first year that he played baseball again. And it's so funny, he's such a competitor as well, as he always mentions that, oh yeah, my first year back after 20 years, I hit 485 or something along those lines. I'm like, you're still keeping your stats and as old as you are, and he loves it though. He's a competitor as well.
It's all about the stats, right?
Yeah, you never know. That scout might call him back. That it took a 30-year break, and he might get his shot. So you got to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at the video now. It looks like everyone's training pretty well. He has a great. I mean, you have great mechanics at the shortstop position, and I'm pretty sure that's from your dad's knowledge, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people, I think they know him more of a hitter. Your dad was, talking to me today at the cages and mentioning that my dad, yeah, he could hit the ball hard as a little guy, but he was such a fast guy, and that's what got him noticed. Is he was the fastest guy at this one pro tryout, and he was running sub 60-yard dashes, which was pretty awesome.
So he's faster than you ever were.
I had slightly above speed always.
Yeah.
I got a little bit in the tank, but
Yeah.
I got a couple of stolen bases every year in me, and that's about it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So I see here, let's talk a little bit about the picture. We just showed the commercial about the Vega baseball training. Let's talk a little bit about this picture here. So that's your dad in the center right there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's your brother, your brother Gunner.
And then my brother Gunner, Gunner Vega on the left, Gil in the middle, and then me there on the right. So this was a special day that we were able to all play, on the same field. And I think when anyone's able to do that, even as old as I am, in my early 30s, being able to play with my dad is pretty special, and my brother was able to play as well, and we ended up winning that game. My dad got a double in this game, which I can barely, sometimes I get out of bed, after a long late night, and I can barely get up, so I don't know how he's still doing it at his age, but I'm hoping that God kind of blesses me with the same, resilience, and I can play when I'm in my 50s.
That's awesome. What team were you guys playing for right there? What team is that?
So this team is Nuevo Leon. So this was at Petrowski Park, over close on 31st and Cicero, and so that was his first time playing with the league or on that team. He was part of the Oriole dynasty back in the day. I'm sure we're going to touch on that a little bit later.
The
But
Orioles, bro, I got hard
yeah,
feelings with the Orioles, man.
there's a
They
lot
took
of
3 ships from me.
yeah, a lot of OGs remember the Oriole dynasty and remember big money was made, and a lot of fun when Petrowski used to be super exciting. And what's great is it's getting back to that. I think I got a lot of other comments about that, but we'll stay on track on the early years.
Yeah, we'll get it cracking a little later on in the show when it comes to men's baseball. So continuing on with that as well, let's talk a little bit about your earlier years when it came to maybe your high school ball. Sorry. Let's talk about where you went to high school. Where'd you go? You grew up in Aurora or Naperville?
So we grew up here on the north side, so like in that Hermosa, Belcragen area. And then once I went to high school, that's when we moved to Aurora. And my parents still live out there, which they got a great deal. We got this house that was right on the border, and between Naperville and Aurora, which was even before how that area kind of has grown to what it is today. And really fortunate for that. That it was in the top school district in the state back. I don't know what it is now. It's District 204, but definitely a lot better of a district than I was going to be going into when I was here in the city. So appreciative of that now, but obviously as a kid, in high school years, having to move from Chicago all the way out to Aurora, any kid's going to be pissed off at that, in the moment. But now I can look back and say that I really appreciate all the connections I made. Obviously the friends, but the coaches that I met along the way, and every one of them. It's crazy, when you look back at things, because you can see how every person was detrimental to your success in any capacity. So now I'm appreciative of that. But yeah, so I moved out there when I was in high school, and then finished playing 4 years at Wabansie Valley High School.
So Wabansie, I have a few videos here from Wabansie that you sent me, but one of the pictures here that I have is this one in the paper right there. Dude, you look so young. You still do. You look
like
young.
Popeye, yeah. I would always have it looked like I was chewing tobacco, which I mean, as every baseball player has, of course I have. But in high school, it was bubble gum, and it's funny because you look at all these pictures and you see I have a fat lip in, but it's not chewing tobacco. It's bubble gum.
Well, who did you admire when you were growing up as a baseball player in like the pros? Like, who was your shortstop of choice?
Oh, I mean, as controversial as it's going to be, I mean, Derek Jeter, I think is the man, right? I think everyone was aspiring to be, Derek Jeter, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And I think that something that I really took away from him is just carrying yourself in a different manner, but also playing the game hard, playing it with respect. And that's something that my dad has always done. And of course, you're going to get chippy, and I think a lot of people nowadays, they might misconstrue being competitive with, excuse my French, talking shit, right? And or making it personal and talking shit on the baseball field, and talking about guys or even their families and things like that. And some people think that that's being competitive, and that's what playing the game is about. And there's a game within the game, but at the same time, especially in men's leagues, we're all taking time out of our day to be here. Everyone has work tomorrow. We don't need anyone hurt, losing paychecks, taking money off, off of people's tables. So that's someone who I've always admired, Derek Jeter. But I mean, even going back, years before Jeter, I think Ozzie Smith was my second favorite, shortstop ever. I always aspired to do a backflip, every time I went on the field, like he was able to do. But clearly, you don't see me doing that because I can't.
No, I've been waiting for it though. Every time you go out there, I know we're teaming with a few teams, and Every time you go out there, I'm waiting for that backflip, bro.
It might come, yeah, we'll see. I'm feeling a little healthier this year, but yeah, Ozzie Smith. I mean, he's made the Wizard of Oz has made some pretty amazing plays, and then going way, way back, Honus Wagner was a consistent shortstop that is a Hall of Famer as well. So those are guys that I enjoyed playing, but I think everyone knows the shortstop is a dynamic position, and anybody who's going to be there, even when outfielders come in, even when Jazz Chisholm comes over, or guys who are typically in the outfield, they come and they play short. It's pretty exciting, and I think a lot of guys can play it, but it depends on, can you do it for 162 games? And I sure can't.
Dude, yeah, you're right. And Chad, you mentioned Chad Chisholm, dude. That's a dog right there on the Yankees this year. I like the way he plays, his swagger. I like everything about that player.
Yeah.
So then when you went to high school, you went to Wabanzi. How was the recruitment process like when I went to college? Because I was from the area too. I went from Chicago to Oswego. I got to play with a bunch of great players. Shout out Matt Jernstedt, AA with the Yanks. Really great friend of mine. But out there, it's very competitive with the suburban schools. It's not quite the Catholic League like in Chicago, but the suburban school has a lot of talent. And can you tell me a little bit about how you ended up at the school you ended up with?
Yeah, great question. I think that I was so young as well when we moved out to the suburbs that I really didn't have any idea of what to expect. Growing up in the city my entire life, and I was exposed to these big facilities that they have the opportunity to have when you have more space, just like the suburbs, when it's cheaper to do it out in some warehouse, and you get a lot of ground. I was used to swinging the sledgehammer in our basement, in the 7-foot by 7-foot room, keeping a tight swing so I don't break the wall or break a window. So coming out here and having the room and having these facilities out here, I think it allows for, which is exactly what we're doing right now, is networking. So a lot of players go through there. So today we went to DBAT. I think a lot of people go through there. Teams in the areas, men's leagues team, collegiate guys. Our buddy Sherm, shout out Sherm. Sherm works there, so so I was really surprised about that once I started training in these facilities, and started playing varsity my freshman year. I made the sophomore team, but they pulled me up for the playoffs, and very similar during my sophomore year as well. So we had a good squad. We won conferences both years, and then when I turned into a junior, then it's the show, right, for high school, and now it's time to turn it on, and your stats matter, and this is what it's very similar to like your grades in high school. Is these are the stats that scouts are going to be looking at for college, or even if you're better than that, pros, right? So I was always a pretty high average guy. I did great. I broke a couple of records there, and hitting wise, and had some success senior year as well. And I did have some offers coming out of Wabanzi. I did turn down. So Purdue was a big offer of mine, that they wanted me to come in as a second string, infielder. And at the time, obviously being a kid, you want to play right away. And it definitely wasn't my ego that, is the reason why I turned it down. But during that time, Bryce Harper was really paving the way. And it's so hard for me to admit that Bryce Harper is actually a month younger than me. And clearly he's in a different spot in his life. But he was paving the way. And yeah, he was doing the JUCO route, and I wanted to do that as well, get to the pros as quickly as possible. And so I committed to Wabanzi Junior College out in Sugar Grove, so just under NIU. And really that process was a lot more simpler. I had a buddy, Harry Vickers, who was my best friend in high school, as well as a couple other buddies, Kyle Lemanowski, Chris Anderson, who committed to that school. So after doing a tour and realizing that I had a couple of buddies there from high school, I said it should be a pretty easy transition, and I'm only tied down for a year at a time, so I can do really good my freshman year and possibly spend my other 3 years at another school. So that was the intent behind it. But had a lot of fun in high school. We unfortunately didn't win state or anything like that, but put up some good numbers, had some fun, made some good memories, and definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, shout out to all the JUCO bandits out there, man. I'm a JUCO guy myself. I think that's the way to go, honestly. You get 4 years if you are that good, if you believe you are and you work hard enough, you have 4 years to enter the draft. You have 4 years to sign anywhere you want to go. I'm a big proponent of the JUCO route. I absolutely love JUCO. I think that's a great way to work on your game. That's a great way to get some playing time early. That's a great way to be able to, connect and network. Networking's big with different ball players all around the JUCO area. And the JUCO World Series, you see some talent, man. Like you see like San Jack in Texas. Brandon Munoz, shout out to him. He's from San Jack. He's a dog. Like those guys down in Texas, they ball. But Illinois ball is coming up, man. Illinois ball, including like the South Suburbans. I'm sure you played against South Sub, Triton. Triton's a big one. I think my 2 years at Kishwaukee, Triton never really, we took it to him, but it was the South Suburban school with like the Danny Solises of the world and Tony Sangrani out of, got drafted to play for the Dodgers. So they had dogs over there too, man. But the JUCO route's definitely, I think, the way to go. And you're a JUCO guy, I'm a JUCO guy.
Yeah, I think they just announced as well that if you play 2 years of JUCO, it doesn't take away your eligibility for NCAA.
That's crazy. I heard about that. Tell me more about what you heard, because I haven't heard too much.
Yeah, I wish I looked more into it to really fact check. I saw a post and kind of went with it, but from my understanding, the junior college years won't affect your NCAA eligibility. So in theory, you can play college baseball for 6 years, which is a pretty fun life to live for 6 years, especially when people are redshirting and things along those lines. You might have close to a 10-year college career, playing ball. But I think that what that gives the opportunity for kids to do is actually take junior college a little bit more seriously as a route to, play professional baseball. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever school you go to, it's just you. You're going to be part of a great program, but it's just you. You have to act like it's like you're independent, like you are a minor league baseball player, trying to make it up the ranks. And it's going to be up to you to get your workouts done. And other guys might be getting drafted or invited to pro workouts, and you're not going to be included just because you're the second baseman for the shortstop who is, a number one pick. So, you got to kind of take it, as in your development. And okay, I have these amount of years before I'm done playing in school, and then I have to start playing in other leagues to even just stay fresh. And I think that that's a big, gap where guys finish college and they don't necessarily know where to play. How do I get noticed? How am I still a part of, the dream, in the pursuit of the dream? And a lot of guys fall into that. So my advice is, look into junior college. I mean, it's just, back in my day, it was $7,000 for 2 years. I mean, geez, I don't know how you can beat that, especially when they have, certain small scholarships and things along those lines. So, try it out, especially if you're, a B, C student like I was in high school. It also gives you the opportunity to get better grades in college and get those transfer scholarships and really set yourself up and turn some things around. So big JUCO Bandits advocate for sure.
And you were at Wabanzi when you guys went to the College World Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of guys that, like Joliet guys that I talked to, they went to the World Series. Shout out Ricky G. He was with Joliet when they went to the College World Series. But tell me about your experience at the College World Series. Not many people could go. Like, I wish I could have gone, but tell me about your experience.
It was a blast. And I remember specifically who was the best team and who won it that year, because we came in third place. We came in close third. We weren't able to take it all, but we lost to a school called or who took it all, which was Gloucester. And if anyone knows, or has played, JUCO ball, Gloucester is a pretty big powerhouse. And I think they had 8 to 10 guys that were drafted that year. They just had some freaking monsters. And our pitchers got beat up a little bit, and but you can tell, JUCO now is getting better. But this was, I was back in JUCO in 2000.
DA just hit the chat. DA is a fellow Kishwaukee College Cougar. He was there before me, so that's my alum guy right there. Shout out to DA. Thanks for joining. Appreciate the love, brother. So you go to college, you go to the College World Series, you're doing your thing. At what point, you're a sophomore now. Everyone knows when you're in JUCO, you got to make a decision what you're going to do next. What does Ryan Vega, what did he do next after your sophomore year at JUCO at Wabanzi with Coach Randall?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's kind of where I was at a fork in the road, and apologize that I didn't mention it earlier, but I redshirted my freshman year due to an arm injury already. So I had strained. So I really messed up my arm, and actually this was just training over the summer. But I was also playing at Petrowski, so this is actually my first year in Petrowski. 2000. 2011, I think it was 2011, 2012.
2011. What was?
Long
I
time
wonder
ago.
who won the ship that year.
So yeah, I was brought over. So like I mentioned, my dad played Hanson, Petrowski, all the leagues in the city. Part of that Oreo dynasty, and another guy who was part of that dynasty, which was Mike Reevy, which I think everyone
Oh boy,
knows Reevy.
Mikey's my guy. I love Mikey.
Yeah, shout out Reevy, man. So he's a family friend. He's been around since I was a little kid, and he was playing on the Chicago Aztecs back then. And man, they
The
had
Chicago Aztecs ran by Jaime.
ran by Jaime.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, shout out
So you
Jaime
had
and
Jake
his.
Serrato on the team.
Yeah, so there was Serratos on the team. We had Mo Dorsey, we had Londo, we had Lucius, we had Gavin, we had just all these dogs
So the
that
Orioles
were
with a different name is what you're trying to tell me.
yeah, pretty much. I guess I didn't really know about it. Yeah, so they so I started
I'll
playing
look
with
at it.
them and was fun, but yeah, hurt my arm over the so I was making a play at short and I actually fell on my forearm, tore my tendon or strained it, and was the ninth guy, so we had to play the rest of the game. So I'm over in left field, dying, and my arm feels like it's falling out of its socket. And I think we pulled off the dub, and I went right to the hospital, got it checked out. It was broken, so I had to redshirt my freshman year of college, and kind of thankfully so, because that was the year that Wabanzi Junior College uh, broke the school record for most losses ever in a season.
Wow.
So didn't miss much, besides some parties, but other than that,
I know that. Yeah, my guys weren't playing. Guys that I know at Wabanzi, there's no way they would have done that.
yeah. And actually, shout out. So who was a part of that team? I'm pretty sure was Steve Lewis.
Stevie,
Shout out
that's my guy,
Stevie.
Steve. What up, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, man, he's a local legend around there. He be doing big things.
He was pumping like mid-90s back in
Yeah,
college.
and especially in that area and those Mexican leagues out there, man. Yeah, no, he does his thing. So, yeah, he was part of that team, and that he can confirm that team loved to party. That team, man, they were having parties all the time, and it was great. But at the same time, right, your win and losses are going to be a little bit affected. So,
Talk about throwing heat.
Hernan,
Hernan.
what's up,
man.
Hernan?
Hey, shout out Hernan. We just saw him a little earlier. Shout out, congrats on your Mexican contract. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, good luck. He's gonna be reporting soon
for sure.
But yeah, just to kind of finish that out, hurt my arm, redshirted freshman year, but then came back, and then so my freshman year, we actually broke the record for most wins in our program's history. So back-to-back years, broke losses, broke the amount of wins, which was awesome. And yeah, we went down to the World Series, and really after that, and after you play, JUCO, and you're getting ready to transfer, you really have to have that tough conversation with yourself and say, hey, you know what's going to be best for my future, not just for baseball wise, but not everyone goes to the big leagues. What's going to be my fallback, and what school is going to be the best choice for me to have that better fallback to have in your back pocket. So I think I realized that I was still a BC student, and school really wasn't hard, but it was balancing all that time, and that time management as a kid, was something that I struggled with. So I said, at that point, hey, you know what? I need to either go pro, I need to, go to the tryouts on my own, or find an agent, or I just need to go to school 100% and just be a student. And at that point, straight A's is pretty normal, to be able to do. So I had that conversation with myself. I said, hey, you know what? I want to do this. I want to go. I want to try the pro route. I want to work on myself and really hit the weight room. So that's really when I changed my whole game. I was a smaller, 5'10", 165 pounds, soaking wet, if I was lucky. And I went from 165 to about 190, in about 3 months with just getting in the gym, hella peanut butter sandwiches, and I worked at Export at the time, so I was just chugging, shakes.
Peanut butter sandwiches for 25 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, it was. So that was
How much creatine were you taking, dog?
That was pre-COVID, when you can actually make shakes at Export, right? So
yeah.
I was making everyone shakes and a little bit too much, and I put it in my cup, and yeah, I gained like 30 pounds, and then I started to hit those bombs, and to really added a different element to my game, which that's really Vega Baseball's biggest slogan is learn to smash, and is because whether you're a small guy like my dad was, 5'5", hitting bombs, or a big guy, being able to do that consistently is something that we believe in. So yeah, that changed pretty much the course of my career. And after that, I said, yeah, I need to go to start attending some pro workouts, and I can start talking about that. But was there anything else that we needed to touch on before we go talk about after college and pro ball?
Yeah, we're gonna take a little break about like your continuance on that. We'll get to that your post college career in a second. But first I have a segment here that I want to. It's the web gen segment. So we're gonna talk about web gen segment. This one is gonna be brought to you by. Okay, this is brought to you by one of my close
Sponsor.
friends. He's a sponsoring of the show. I definitely want to bring him in here and talk about. Here we go. Give me a second. It's gonna be a third one. This one. Here we go. So we're bringing in here sponsor of the show. It's Sanchez Midfix. Sanchez Midfix is ran by Tony Sanchez.
Shout out Tony.
Um,
Good
he
man.
is doing his thing, bro. He's doing his thing with the gloves. He's restoration, relacing, breaking. This guy knows what he's doing. If you know Tony Sanchez, or if you need your glove relaced, give him a shout. His IG's down below. Sanchez Midfix. Check out some of these gloves he's doing. He did my brother's not too recently, like right here. Look at that. It's just complete difference. He's doing his thing, man. And that's someone that you can rely on to get your new mitts fixed. He's actually doing one of mine right now. Like again, you can find him on Sanchez Midfix at IG. And moving on, thank you, Tony, for the sponsorship. I appreciate that. Shout out, Tony.
Yeah, and I've actually got my mid done by Tony as well. Forgot to say it earlier, but yeah, Tony fixed up my glove, folded it up, got it back to me. It was a glove that I've had and I still play with, for about 10 years now, and that thing is basically like brand new. So shout out Tony, his, and he does it in a timely fashion. It comes back pretty quick. So shout out Tony, he's doing his thing.
What up, Tony? All right, so now we're here in the web gen segment. You are known around the city for your glove, right? You also hit, but your glove. I see you when I play with you. You make some plays that leaves me stunned, and I always tell you all the time, like you're one of my favorite players to watch play. I could watch you play shortstop position all the time because you have so much fun with it. You have some flair with it, and at the end of the day, you make the plays, and that's what matters. And I want to show a couple gems here. Let's get right into it. I'm going to throw on a little highlight here. Take a look. Ryan Vega highlights. Web gem, the web gem 5th inning.
See what he puts together. Orgy, 50. Orgy again, gets third. Shout out Juan.
Dude, those highlights are sick, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean, shout out my photographer. Like, I'm so glad that we
Shout it
are
out,
just
man. Who's your
we
photographer?
just live in an age with like where we're able to see these moments, and capture these moments, and I think that that's the reason why obviously you're doing this, but just to be able to have those recordings, and my dad, he can talk all he wants, and yeah, I've done this, that, and the third, pics or it didn't happen, videos or it didn't happen, and so I always give him shit about that. But no, I appreciate you putting that together. I just like going out there and having fun, and I think that that's something that everybody can see when I go out there. I really, obviously some games are going to be better than others, and sometimes you're going through stuff. But man, you get between those lines, it's just it's a blast. So trying to have some fun out there, and if it comes off as, oh, this guy thinks he's the shit, we have to think that, but at the same time, ultimately,
I think it's the iRake mentality, right? Where confidence meets cockiness, and you kind of just have to flow with it.
yeah, you have to have that level of confidence, but yeah, ultimately just having fun out there.
Awesome, bro. So now we're at the point right here. We're moving on, and we checked out your web gems. I want to go right into your iRake moments. Okay, we talked about your web gems. We talked about your defensive side, but now we're about to get into the nitty gritty of your hitting. And you are a special breed when it comes to hitting. You're a 3-hitter in almost every team I've ever been on. Rarely, sometimes 2 hitters as a 2-hitter, but you're up there with one of the top hitters in the city right now, currently. Um, I want you to speak a little bit though about what iRake mentality. I know what it means to me, what I'm trying to give out as knowledge, but what does iRake mentality mean to Ryan Vega when it comes to stepping in the box?
Yeah, great question. I think everyone's, mentality is going to be more so the same, when it comes to good hitters. And ultimately, we know that being a good hitter means being successful 3 out of 10 times, which is a very low success rate. So, you have to go up there hunting, but at the same time, depending on the type of player you are and depending what the situation is, I think that that's other things that come into play. So that's what I would say my iRake mentality is, you know, situational aggressive guy, is how I would summarize it in 3 words, and I think ultimately the goal of the game is to win. And if a sacrifice bunt, if a hit and run, if taking pitches, this guy's been throwing a lot of balls and I'm the leadoff hitter and I want to set up my team, to have better at bats, if taking pitches, if that's what is a great, at bat for my team, then absolutely I'm going to do that, so being situational, but at the same time, it's sometimes it's great, right? You have a man on first, you're thinking about bunting, his ass gets thrown out a second, and now you're going yard, right? Now it's 2 outs, and it's one of the last innings of the game, and now you're like, okay, cool, now I can swing. Now I don't have a guy on, and I don't have to worry about bunting, and it changes the game, it changes the mentality. So, trying to adapt as much as possible, but as a hitter, yeah, you absolutely have to be aggressive on the aggressive side for sure.
Okay, let's I want to show here one of these videos here that you are a little bit on the aggressive side. All right. We got nah,
Yeah, you can post the strikeouts. It's okay.
we
I
don't
post
talk
them.
about strikeouts, bro.
Yeah,
That's for the
man.
pitchers. We don't think about those, right? Right here, I want to talk about, let's see. Let's put you on a home run right here with the Yanks. Let's see.
Shout out to the Yankees back to back.
Little bat flip. I'm all about the bat flips. I love that.
Nice respectable bat flip, right? I don't think it was too high. And the only reason I did it as well is because this guy is a pretty well-known pitcher in our league. He looks like Joe Kelly, but he's a competitor like that as well. So he'll talk shit to you. He'll talk shit to your team. And hey, after you get a bomb like that, you got to run a little slower and just let him feel it a little bit. But so your guys get good pitches after that. But hey,
Where'd you get that from?
that's dog. That's Jazz Chisholm, right? That's Jazz Chisholm. Like I said, I enjoy watching him play, and he does a little Euro step. He does the basketball. I did the basketball shot in that as well. But yeah, just kind of being creative, but doing it. I think what's big about that is doing it the right way, which is so tough. There's so many gray areas of what's too high of a bat flip and what's too much. But case by case basis. But yeah, that was a fun at bat for sure.
All right, I got another fun at bat. This is one of your sons. By the way, shout out Al Maza, manager of the 7-time back-to-back Yankees out of Burbank. Shout out, another great win. We're going for 3 next year. We're going for a 3-peat.
Oh, 3-peat for sure. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the championship's a little more exciting. I'm hoping that those guys come back and other teams as well with a fire in their belly. We probably wish they would have went, with some more game action, but next year I'm sure they'll come back a little stronger.
100%. Check out this one. What league is this? We'll talk about it shortly.
Nice bum.
What league is that?
So that is the famous Benito Juarez League. That was about 10 years ago at this point. So that was when I think I started with Nuevo Leon, with Vic. Shout out Vic and
shout out Vic, good friend, good family friend.
So actually in that video, or I think it was the other at bat in the video of the home run I hit, but there's a lot of famous people in that video that I think a lot of men's leagues people would know, players would know, such as the pitcher for that team, San Agustin, was Caballo.
Who was that? Oh, El Caballo.
Yeah,
Caballo,
Caballo.
Caballo, man. He's doing some training up north, I believe, in the Logan Square area, I believe. If you're
Awesome,
looking for
awesome.
a
Yeah,
pitching instructor, definitely hit him up.
yeah. I mean, he's doing that for baseball, softball. Great guy to go out to, and yeah. So he was pitching, but it's cool as well. Another guy, pretty well known in the baseball community, Derek Taylor, was catching for him. So Derek Taylor played on San Augustine for a little bit. And he
Wait, that was
catching
Eric Taylor catching in he's a catcher?
Derek. Well, I mean,
Detail?
he was. Yeah, he
Oh, shout
was.
out
Back
Detail. I
then,
didn't
I
know
mean,
you were a catcher, dog. I thought you were and
you know,
you iRake and you play mad defense, man.
yeah, he was catching, and then behind home plate umpire. Rest in peace, Los.
Oh man.
Carlos Rivera was behind the home plate there, and it's actually there he is. Rest in peace. This was a game we got him out to. It was a scrimmage game out in Indiana. That's my best friend to his right, and he moved out there with his wife, and they have a house and out there. So we go out there, and that's the Indiana league that I play in, and that we just won the championship for. But this was
So
a
he
scrimmage
umpired
game,
Indiana as well.
just like ad hoc. Yeah. So every now and then, we had him come out and umpire the scrimmages because, as you know, he was, the top umpire in the Chicagoland area when it came to men's leagues baseball. And
And you know why? I'll stop you there. You know why? It's because you feel comfortable with this strike zone, bro. As a hitter, when you have a good umpire and he is giving you the zone as a pitcher as well, when you know what a strike is and what a ball is, and you can actually have a good at bat with a good umpire, he was the best, man, and he did it all. And he loved baseball like all of us. And I just, rest in peace, Carlos. You mean a lot to a lot of people here that are watching. You meant a lot to me just a good friend. And forever, I will always have you in my heart. Carlos, you were everything for us as an umpire. And thank you so much. And I just like to say that for him.
yeah, no, you you hit the nail right on the head, right? I think that everyone who's ever met him feels the exact same way. And we pull up to the ballpark and we're always looking who's umpiring today, and then you kind of brace yourself for the worst. But when you saw, Carlos, you were like, okay, cool, this is going to be a good game. He takes pride in the work that he does, and that's all you can ask for, and to treat the game right. So, yeah, shout out Los. He was big in the city, but obviously there's another great network of umpires now that are all around the men's leagues area. So we definitely appreciate them.
Definitely. Let's get one more in here. Let's see. I got a few of you. I want to do another one.
Hey, shout out Jeremy Ortiz. That man, he just had his first son. Shout out Uriah.
Shout out,
Yeah,
Jeremy.
just had his first son. Gonna be getting some Vega baseball lessons soon, hopefully. But yeah, so he started a team out in Indiana when he moved out there. So we were the Reds this year. We won it. We won the championship also as Royals, and we had some pretty good guys. We had guys who were playing pro in Puerto Rico, pumping 94. Guys getting finished at Purdue, pitching 92. So that league gets some pretty good talent as well. And typically nicer fields. They have fences, which is nice, but it's just a little bit of a drive. But yeah, shout out those boys, the Reds, the real deal.
Is that Indiana or what league is this one?
So this one was the MSL. So
the MSL, okay.
Yeah, this was back when I played on the War Dogs.
Oh, I heard of the War Dogs. They were pretty good.
Yeah, we were solid. We had this guy Rick Salazar. Shout out Rick. Went to Chicago State. He's now living in San Diego.
Good old Chico State.
Yeah. He went there just like Andy. I think they were at different times.
And shout out Q Quentin out of the White Sox.
You went there, yeah. You're right.
All these guys, they're the Chico.
Yeah, we had this guy Chaz. So it's funny. My buddy Chaz here. This was the first year that I met him, and I keep it real, and I think that if you got the stuff, you got the stuff, and if your goal is to still try to make it in pro ball, anyone has my network, and anyone has access to it if they present a strong case, and they're serious about it. There's a lot of people who think that they're serious about going to pro ball, and Chaz was a person who I thought I saw a lot of talent. He played Division II baseball, and I told him, I had that conversation, like, are you, and that's actually him in the podcast, shouting me out as well. Asked him if he's serious about it, and yeah, he signed his first professional contract, but he also signed a contract he had a contract to play out in Dubai in that professional league that they started out there. So, men's leagues guys, you can make it. It takes a lot of work, but you got to meet the right people. Shout out Joe Torre. So Joe Torre was a guy, not the official main Joe Torre guy, but Joe Torre was actually my agent, and he helped me break into professional baseball. And he was the one who got me a contract with Windy City, and where I was playing in the Frontier League. And so shout out Joe Torre, part of the Black Sox Baseball Academy. He pretty much started it kind of like Jake in a sense from the Rippers.
Shout out Jake.
Putting together a team from guys from all over, but maybe some guys that are still trying to make a run at pro ball. And his guys in New Jersey were pretty good, and they said, hey, you know what? We could start an academy of guys that are just together as a family trying to make pro ball, and they actually go around. They do a pro tour. So this is how I got my break into pro ball. This was back in 2014, 2015, and it completely changed now. It's so much more legit, and he has the most signings out of any agent or anything like that in minor league baseball, and that's where the grind is. So we find that there's a lot of guys that are going to go Division I and be those high draft picks, but there's way more guys that are on the lower end of that. And if you want to do it, I would recommend reaching out to this guy. I can definitely give you a soft intro if that's something that you're looking to get into. But yeah, this guy took that team. He plays. Their team plays in the Frontier League, so they play in spring training games against the Boomers, the Slammers, Thunderbolts, the American Association, even in the Atlantic League. They play those teams, and most of the time, I'm not going to lie, these guys beat their teams, and then those coaches are like, "Wow, your shortstop's better than my shortstop. Let me invite him out to spring training and have him go head to head." And that's how you take people's jobs, and that's ultimately what it is. That's the minor league grind. Is there's only a limited amount of guys out there. There's only a limited amount of jobs. I mean. So, unfortunately, you're going to take someone's job, but if you're better, it's a business, and they're going to put you there if you're better than the next guy,
No doubt, no doubt. So we have this one right here. I want to talk about this one. You have good cardio, right? You have really good cardio. Tell me a little bit about this at bat real quick. You're playing where? Because that stadium looks nice.
Yeah, it's Boomers.
Remember Boomers? Okay.
Yeah, so this is in the championship game. I thought it was a pull-up. He told me 3. I was like, oh, geez, I got to run to 3. And then Zach, shout out Zach, man.
You see this third base coach? For coaches out there that have men's teams, that's how you are supposed to wave a guy home. Coming towards the plate, not just standing on the plate. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Inside the Parker, is this championship?
Yeah, so that was the first inning of the championship. Man, this video looks great, look cool and all that, but actually we were down like 10 runs, so they put up a 10 spot in like the top of the first. So then we came back. I hit that home run, and then I think that was our only run. I think that was our only run the whole game. We lost that game, but then we ended up winning the series. But yeah, no, you're right. That's how a third baseman should. Be animated and sending you. And shout out Zach Peluso. He used to run the War Dogs, and him and Pat, they were great guys, and we were able to win a ship with them. But that was at the Boomer Stadium, so I won that. That's another one that I won with my brother Gunner. Just
awesome, man. So I have a couple more videos that will show throughout the the rest of the 20-30 minutes that we have here. But now I want to get back to go reverse. You're done with college, right? You're done with college, or you're deciding to do what's next. What is next for Ryan Vega after college?
Yeah, great question. So, and I think we started to touch on it earlier, but it goes into that Black Sox Academy that I was mentioning. So, after playing in the JUCO World Series and really changing myself as a player, when I got introduced to the weight room and taking lifting seriously, which was a tryout that I was invited to down in Miami. So shout out Kevin
Curtin, the side.
Is this spring? Yeah. Tell me about it, man. I know we're all dying just like you, man.
He's gonna pitch till he's 90 the way he pitches, dog.
For sure.
Go all day.
Yeah, no, Kevin's a dog. He doesn't age. He's got the rubber arm. But yeah, so pretty much, like I said, was invited down to a tryout in Florida, and just like any other tryout, I mean, there's so many guys, so many hours long. Sometimes you got to wait, do your rounds of BP and then do a 60-yard dash, and you're tired, and so a lot of tryouts, can be pretty chaotic. But I was one of the last batters, and Joe Torre was evaluating players for his team and just to help guys get signed. And I went to that tryout and he liked what he saw. He said, "Yeah, can you move down here? Like, we start practice on Monday. Can you get down here? Do you have anyone down here to live with, so that you can start practicing and then we can get you a contract?" But I'm very confident, So like I said, he's part agent, part coach, and he really helped me in a lot of ways. So I kind of dropped everything. And to be honest, I didn't come home. So shout out to my mom, my dad. I think they're watching right now, but they moved all of my stuff out of the apartment for me so that I can stay down there and train. Right. So I had to quit my job as well. I was a leasing consultant for an apartment community and had to tell them that, I was going to pursue the dream. And just like anyone, they're going to be happy for you. And that's ultimately what I did was I started training down there in that academy, man. Not just the minor league grind in general, but the talent that he put me in front of. He was getting me in front of guys that were signed, coming over from Tokyo that were international guys, or these big Venezuelan, kids that are just monsters. We're playing Team Venezuela. We're playing, against these guys that are already signed or getting signed, because that's really, a melting pot of a lot of pro ball players is down in Miami, right? Everyone trains down there. No one can train really in Chicago. You go somewhere warm. So yeah, so we grinded it out for a few months, and I had some good tryouts with, in front of some pro coaches, and ultimately was able to land a contract with Windy City Thunderbolts. And shout out Coach
Okay.
Ron Vega. Ron Vega actually played back in the day
Ronnie
with my
Vega.
dad. Yeah. He was a very well known guy in the Chicago baseball scene as well. So
Mhm.
I had my quick cup of coffee, and now just playing in men's leagues. But what an experience that is, and being able to wake up and practice baseball once, twice a day, in beautiful sun. And I don't think anyone can say that it gets much better than that. So definitely appreciative of the short ride that I had.
That's awesome, man. Well, not many people get to play pro ball, I'll tell you that, and just to even experience it is awesome. Like I said, one of my great friends, Matt Jernstedt, played for Windy City as well, and going to see his games and seeing the people you love out there playing pro ball, doing what they love to do is a special feeling, as
Yeah.
a person that's watching and loves the game. So that's a great story, man. So now we're getting down to the next topic, which is after pro ball, after everything's done, after you've accomplished what you needed to accomplish, and work creeps up and you get older. Now you're starting to still want to play. Tell me about what happens after. Where are you at currently? Where have you played? What men's leagues you're at? Let's get into the men's leagues. I know that's what a lot of guys want to start hearing about. They're here in the chats. Talk about your life. Here we go. Yeah, see, this is the word people want to hear.
Oh, look at the real estate picture, man. Oh yeah.
They
Oh
wanna
yeah.
hear.
So the coach just texted me from Puerto Rico. So we're going out there. We're going out there at the end of the month to play some ball. And apparently this team's got some Puerto Rico pro players on it that as well. So it should be a pretty solid squad. But of course, and it never fails me. And this is a shout out to my dad. But I'm reading this long text, and of course, he's like, "Hey, I spoke with Reeve. Like, we want to get you to play. Blah blah blah." And then of course at the end, he's like, I actually know your dad. I've watched your dad play. I played against him. Like, so I know you're a solid player. And there's not one league that I've ever played in. There's not one year that has gone by in men's league baseball that someone doesn't see my last name, which is Vega, and a number like 13. I think a lot of players, especially, guys watching Ozzie Guillen growing up, everyone wanted number 13. So,
Shout out
um,
Ozzy.
yeah, shout out Ozzie and his kids. Yeah.
Thank you.
So everyone knows my dad, man. There's not anywhere I go that someone doesn't. But which is pretty cool because, like I said, he never played MLB or really a lot of pro ball, but he made his name well known in the parks like Petrowski Park. So that was my first team, pretty much after getting released from pro ball. And like I said, I started out with the Chicago Aztecs, and then I think the next year was I played on the White Sox at Benito Juarez. So shout out Vic. Vic's
Vic.
over there, man, doing his
What's up,
thing.
Vic?
Yeah,
Speaking of Vic, we got White Sox won it in his BI league, and he also won it in the Azteca league, man. Congratulations to Victor McGee and the White Sox. You guys did your thing.
yeah.
I was part of one of them, and you guys are great teammates. All you guys, very humble guys, very talented guys. I'll give you that, but shout out White Sox.
Yeah, man, he's come a long way. I'm riding for Vic, and I think everyone knows that his intentions have always been solid. And sometimes it's tough. Like I said, sometimes it's tough to find a group of guys that are equally as passionate, but can direct that energy in the right ways in ball games. And we can see it all the time, right? Sometimes that energy is misconstrued, and it takes guys out of their at bats, or takes their teammates out of the game, or yelling at umpires, whatever it may be. And so back in the day, back in the older Petrowski days, it was a wild, wild west. And we go way back, man. Shout out Vic, and he's doing his things in multiple leagues, going into Blue Island, winning it off the bat, and then going back to back against a tough team like the Brewers, who my brother was on the Brewers. He was the championship game MVP. Like, he was pitching it, holding it down, and that team had a couple other solid guys. And man, that's not an easy thing to do. So shout out for them. But it's only making the game better, right? It's only gonna spark and make guys want to be better and bring better guys back, just like the Aztecs. I'm sure they're coming back with better guys for us, and we are too. So we're ready. So
Aztecs, that's the Benito Juarez champs, right? Shout out to
yeah,
them. And
yeah. They won that. So I played with Vic. Me and him go way back, probably 10 plus years at this point. And then after that, I got hooked up with Nuevo Leon and been with them ever since. So Vic brought me in. Was playing with guys like Andy Gayton. He's
Andy's a coach at Moraine College right now, Moraine Valley College.
Yeah, you're right. You were telling me that. Yeah, no, that's another great guy, even better ball player.
Very humble.
Or maybe reverse that. But yeah, no, Andy's a great guy. And his family's been playing in that league for a while as well. So shout out to
Nino.
Nino, Adam Mora, obviously Kevin, like, you got Daniel Pedretti. Danny, man, I love that old man. Got to call you old, Dan, because I respect you, dog. But yeah, no,
when you bring up top shortstops in the city of Chicago men's baseball over the last 30 years, he's in the top 5, no doubt.
He reminded me of Pedroia. Like, when I started playing at Petrowski, I would always describe him as, like, he would look like Pedroia. Yeah, little Petey, little guy. And but he would just have that smooth stroke, right center field every time. He can get inside on the ball, keep it short. So I really enjoyed getting to play with him, because I was always playing against him, when he played on the Pirates. And that was another solid team. Shout out him and Juice. Juice was on that team, and they had some guys. But then just played Nuevo Leon, and then that's kind of where then you realize as a player, hey, you know what, I'm not gonna go to the big leagues anymore. And what other leagues are there out there, in the city or suburbs. So started at Petrowski at Benito Juarez, and then I think after that, I think it was MSL. I think it was MSL. So actually, I started Henry, the coach for the Elite.
Elite. Oh,
yeah. So
league. Okay. Elite.
So that was about 10 years ago at this point as well. Damn, I'm old. But yeah, so he had saw me at Petrowski. He's like, hey, there's this other league out in the burbs. You want to come play? And I played with him. And Gunner, my brother was on that team for a little bit as well. I know Reevy's still on that team. Angel, my buddy Angel Sanchez, he went to Wabanzi as well. Shout out Angel. He's that pitcher there, and he does training at K25 Academy in out in North Aurora.
I heard of K25. Yeah, they're doing their thing out in Aurora, North Aurora area.
Really good. Yeah, really good facility. Hit tracks is awesome. I love putting it on the little league field and just hitting bombs. but yeah, so I played out in MSL for a little bit, and then I started to get exposed to even more leagues, right? The Burbank League, the Tinley Park, Cal Park was another league. Obviously the one in Indiana, but the MSL, then the Chicago North as well. So I played with the Aces. The Aces were a pretty big team in the Chicago North for a while, and we had some great series, some great games against the Rippers, man. That would have rivaled a lot of
teams, bro. Rippers,
a lot of amateur amateur pro teams. That we had a lot of great guys, but it would always go back and forth. Them more so on the winning side for sure. We were mostly concerned with getting 9 guys, and then kind of going from there. But we still hung with them, and we had some pretty good battles. So played out in Chicago North for a while. And then, so, I mean, I don't think there's a league that I haven't played in, all the way out from Elgin, Aurora, Joliet, even that Naperville league every now and then. So baseball, is booming here in Illinois, and that's not even mentioning softball, at Humboldt Park. So that's a whole other can of worms.
That's a whole nother world, bro. I heard a lot of stories of that softball that's blowing up, getting trips to Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah, man.
Doing their thing. I know Just real quick tidbit that Orlando Munoz, he's we talked about him earlier, another 13, another guy, El Caballo, comes up to baseball and he starts throwing underhand. He's throwing like 75 miles an hour underhand from the mound. I'm just like, what the heck? I was like, this is insane.
Man, I've seen that man pitch damn near full games underhand and be fine. Not saying he's blowing it by guys, but just the angle of it and him fucking around, man, it's hilarious. It's fun to watch.
The rise ball for sure. So all these, how many championships? You got championships. Where are you at current? Where were you this past season? Let's talk about this most current season. What teams did you play for this past season?
I do want to actually mention one more comment. If,
All right,
if Londo's watching, and just for later on, but so that video you have of me hitting 2 bombs off of him that day, I had to emphasize that again. So he actually got in an arguing match with Carlos, rest in peace. And Los threw his ass out. You know, he started barking on the strike zone, especially after a second home run to some kid. You know, he's like, you know, he's arguing with him, and Los threw him out of the game. And correct me if I'm wrong, Caballo, but I don't think he's played a game in the league ever since, because he started playing at Washington Park and doing softball and stuff like that. But I don't think he's gone back. I know San Agustin is back this year at Petrowski, but little tidbit for sure. But yeah, so we can get into the next segment. I just want to say that one.
Yeah, no, we got it. Let's talk about this right here. Let's show let's show that one. Let's show this one. This is a championship game, right?
Oh, against the Pirates. Yeah.
That's all.
Where's Dave?
Who's that guy right there?
Yes, sir.
That's the big DA, man. Was he your 4-hitter, or were you guys back to back there?
He was the 4-hitter, I believe. Yeah.
Jeez,
yeah, he was up, man. He had an amazing career at Petrowski. We're always hyping each other up, right? That's what you got to do. You know, in a pretty clutch moment, off a good pitcher. You know, Pirates always had some really good pitchers, and they probably hit one right after me, to be honest.
You probably did. That team looked fun. I played against that team, and I always watching it. And I'm like, man, that Nuevo Leon team has some good chemistry, bro. You guys,
we've won, 3-4 championships with them over the years, and you know, back and forth with the Cardinals. You know, those guys had guys like Joba. You know, my boy Lugo. You know, I grew up with Lugo. Yeah. Josh every now and then. You know, they always picking up guys and and stuff like that. So had some good battles. But this year, to get back to it, so yeah, I played in pretty much all the leagues to some extent. And got nothing for love for all of them. Obviously some fields are better than others, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But
no, let's get into it right now. What do you look for as a player, Ryan Vega? What does he look for when he chooses a men's league to play in? What is on the I see that I'm not playing in that league, or I see that's tempting me? Give me a little bit about how you choose a league to play in, besides knowing the guys. But what do you look for in a good league?
Yeah, maybe more so like what should younger kids look for when joining a league, because at this point, and as old as I am, and I'm just trying to find leagues that now it is about the guys that I've made friends with and the connections I've made and that I enjoy playing with, and the guys play the game well and respect the game, and those are the guys I really vibe with. So but as for a kid coming into men's league, after college ball, I know it's tough, and you gotta take a lot of you have to swallow some pills, some reality pills sometimes, and then you decide where you're going to play for men's league. So, my first experience with men's league wasn't the best. I played a first game. Reeve brought me to the Chicago Aztecs, and I shit you not, Carlos, rest in peace again, man. Los was everywhere. First game, he got in the pitcher, charged Los, and started throwing punches at Los. They broke it up. And the guy said, "All right, cool. I'll be right back." And yeah, he went to his car. Probably went in his glove compartment, and no one wanted to stick around when he came back. And everyone left, and it was the end of the game. But that was my first game in the Benito Juarez League, which wasn't the best first impression. But to be fair, that was one of the only times that has happened. And like I said, I've played in it for over 10 years. On and off. So guys, I think that Blue Island right now is doing a great job with their media right now. That they're putting, and Blue Island in general is such a tight-knit community, but they're really putting, their league on the map. Obviously I think most leagues, everyone can agree. There's 4 good teams, and that's pretty much it. Everyone it levels out after that, and they have a lot of teams. They have a lot of money to play with, and I think that they're doing the right things to make it look exciting for kids to want to play there. If I was a brand new kid coming out of college or pro ball, and I wanted to find somewhere that was fun to play in, that maybe I was even on an Instagram post and you saw my picture, and that's pretty cool. As you could see, just even being in the newspaper in high school and college, my dad's having me cut out all of these articles to save for later. But now, in the digital age, now you have all that online, and I think that kids want that. They want that notoriety and things along those lines. So that's what I would look for. Is I would look for an established league like that, but also a safe league, right? That there isn't going to be any of there's a difference between being competitive and then towing that line where it's there's damn near a fight that's going to happen, like like if you hit Chris as intentionally in a championship series for the Yankees. But I digress. Right. So that's what I would look at as a kid. I think wood bat league is off the rip going to be most consistent, and I think most leagues are wood bat. But that's kind of what I would look for, and then I would just ask around and find a team that you really vibe with. You don't need to be on that. If you play for a team your first year, you don't need to be on that team for the rest of your life, right? Find a team that you vibe with. If you want to try really hard and you want to try and beat the other team, or if you just want somewhere to drink beers after the game and just kick it and get out the house, like there's a spot for you. And I think that this podcast is helping show that as well, that there's so many leagues out there and there's so many teams. You can definitely find what's kind of right up your alley.
Well, there you go. What teams are you playing for this year?
Oh, right. So this past year, we won the championship in Burbank. Shout out to the fucking Yankees, dogs. So gonna run it back, obviously, on a weekday team, and then just 2 Sunday teams that I played with. So, like I mentioned, my best friend Jeremy, that I grew up with here in the city, he moved out to Indiana, so he started a team out there. We won the championship. So me and my brother were on that team. So we got to run it back there as well. So I'll be going out there on Sundays, and then my other Sunday team is in the Aurora League. So we played the championship at Aurora University. So a couple of alumni here, and that's a great Mexican league. They had close to 300-400 fans at the championship. They're betting money.
Knows what they're doing, bro. Aurora.
They had a couple guys released from the Brewers organization in the championship team, so they're pumping 93, 94, and as you can imagine, it's a free for all and it's a lot of fun, and they've treated my family well out there, so I definitely appreciate that, and so I'm going to run it back with them as well because we won the championship. So those are my 3 teams, and then kind of something that I really just added today, a couple hours ago. Which is, I don't want to spill the beans of what's coming out. I'll let you do it, but
you could tell them. You could tell the world who you're playing with. It's okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, last year, I played at Washington Park, and shout out to Roy on the Bravos, man. He's really taken me and Gunner in, and he's let us, play on the squad, and those guys have been so, Jordy, shout out Jordy. He doesn't play with us anymore in Burbank, but
love you guys.
Yeah. That whole Bravo squad, Stevie's on that squad as well, and
Al Flores.
Yeah, Al, absolutely. But shout out Roy, he took us in. I appreciate that, and we've played for him in a couple years, but this was the first year that I had to cut it down. Right, I was playing on 7-8 teams, 4 or 5 Sunday leagues is tough to get to, and sometimes you can only take an at bat and leave, or you can't commit your time, and I feel so bad when I have to do that, and because there are other guys that are really trying, and they're coming out there on Sunday, they're spending their time, and they see me come in and I take their spot to get in that bat, and they maybe ruffles a little feathers, which I completely understand. So didn't play in the Azteca League last year for the Bravos, but they had a great run. They almost made the ship. It was really, really close. My brother Gunner was on the team, but this year, gonna play with your squad, man. Get out there as much as I can, obviously, but if you guys have a pretty good playoff championship run, that's the only thing I can really be a part of. But during the season, we'll get qualified, but La Barca seems to be a pretty big powerhouse coming in. What do you think, Jess?
I got a lot to say about La Barca, but this show is about you today. La Barca's coming back after a couple years hiatus. They're going into the Azteca League. They're looking to, compete, man. There's going to be a lot of great talent in that league. The Azteca League this year is looking like it's gonna get loaded, man, with the the fixtures of the fields, of the mounds in the home plate area, and the fixtures of putting up the fences in the outfield for the the four fields out at the Washington Park area. It's gonna make it very competitive. It's gonna get the home run back into play, and it's gonna give the pitchers a little better mound. A little better, the hitters a little better box, because it does get like a dust bowl. So once we fix those things over there, it's going to be very competitive, man. You got a lot of teams. I'll shout out a few. Gavilanes, they're coming back as the 1 seed from last year. You got the White Sox. You got the Bravos over there. Those guys are dogs, man.
They're always going to be in the top 4. Yeah. I recommend if anyone's looking for a team at Washington Park, hit up Roy. He runs that team really well. They're always in the top 4. They got music going. They got food. He takes care of the guys. So, again, shout out Roy. Appreciate you having me. And, but as a third, I want to commit more, but looking forward to joining you guys whenever I can. And, but yeah, it looks like there's a lot of good things on the horizon for Chicago baseball across a lot of leagues. And I think you can only be excited about it and start to connect people, like you are right now.
Yeah, definitely. And as we get more guests on in the future shows, I can't wait to hear more stories, parts of the fields that they play at, where they play, different leagues that they play in, what positions, and we'll get into that further in the season. But yeah, that's great information on your men's leagues and where you're playing, and a little bit of information about that. I kind of want to move forward here. We're running out of time. We got about 20 minutes left of the show. We're keeping it at an hour and a half. Let's talk about a little bit as we're coming over here. I'm gonna just go right into another one of our sponsors. This next the seventh, we're in the 8th inning. The 8th inning is sponsored by Inspire Brand. Inspire Brand is a CBD company that's ran by one of our local baseball guys, Michael Combe. He plays in the Burbank League with the Yankees. This is pain relief, sleep, stress, and focus. There's definitely a lot of different aspects that he has, but my favorite right now, and this is one that all my guests get. They all get a complimentary set of Inspire Brand. This right here is the bath soak, which Ryan, you will get this shipped out to you so you can try it and review it. It's basically for muscle functions, replenish electrolytes. It relieves pain and helps muscle recovery. So a lot of us here are baseball players. Obviously, we're here for the show. A lot of them are going to have soreness. How many guys are sore from the elbow? How many from the shoulder? How many from the core, the legs, anything? You put this on right here. You put it in a bath, or you put it on a scrub. You scrub yourself. It's going to relieve all the soreness. So shout out to Inspire Brand. That's just one of many different quality products that they have. Edibles, drops, tropicals. If you're into that Delta 9, if you're into that Body High or magnesium, we got the mushroom gummies. For focus, he's got it all, man. And definitely has pet products, which is my favorite part, because I do have 2 pit bulls, 2 American bullies myself. Calming treats, if your dog is out there, if 4th of July is fireworks or whatever, definitely going to calm him if he's with anxiety. And then you got the joint ligament, which we all want our dogs to live a longer life, right? We want them to have as many years as possible with us. So that's one of our sponsors right there, which is the Inspire Brand, and this segment is brought to you by Inspire Brand. So
Mike, he really knows this stuff. This stuff is great. And he does so much. He's a bodybuilding coach. He's done bodybuilding, professional fighting as well, and all these supplements. He has his own gym. He really takes pride in this as well, and he's a proud pit owner, and he loves it. So shout out Big Mike.
Yeah, Big Mike. And then you could find them on IG, Inspire _brand as well. And you can use our code iRake Mentality, 20% off your entire purchase. Go ahead and check them out. You'll definitely like them. So let's move on here. The next segment is about, what does Ryan Vega do after games? When your whole life, like, what's your yeah. I think that's me and then all my.
We have a couple beers,
modelos, right?
Ibuprofen start to wear off, and then we got to get home.
So what would you recommend the youth of America, the next generation? How do you take care of your body?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff that you just emphasize with Mike's products and everything like that. I think that the older you get, the better the more you have to take care of your body and what you eat. You can feel it a lot more. Let me tell you, after 30 is a different ballgame. So and then even going into mid 30s is different. So how I think pregame is very similar. Just kind of trying to take things slow and make sure that I don't get injured. But post recovery is huge. I think that playing 75, 80 games a summer with all my teams, I can only do so much. I can only, stretch fully for a certain amount of games, and I have to be selective. So, post game, I pretty much just stick with cardio. I don't lift the next day. I just do a lot of cardio and stretch. So I make sure I kind of reset my system. And then after that, usually I'm a 24-hour sore guy. So sometimes you can be a 24-hour or a 48-hour guy. Usually that first 24 hours, I feel the soreness. So I just do a lot of cardio. And then from there, then it kind of gets better as the week goes on. And depending if you play during the week, obviously it might change a little bit. But doing a lot of cardio, stretching, and it's probably, my biggest weightlifting routine, even mid-season. But in the off season, completely different. So right now I'm just bulking, trying to put on as much weight as possible. Usually at the end of a season, I'm 175, after these 75, 80 games. But I try to bulk to about 200, 205, it's all going to get off eventually anyway. So, but other than that, not too much. Yeah. Training regimen's not, too extensive. I think at this point, I know what I do well. I know it's going to come back to me. I've done this. I've swung the bat so many times. I've done drills, I can do it with my eyes closed right at this point, as old as we are. So it's kind of just staying in shape and then getting ready to hit that baseball.
All right, sweet. So now we're towards the end of our show here. We're heading into the 9th inning. We've learned a lot about, Ryan Vega, who he is, your upcomings, where you're at currently, how you look at baseball, your iRake mentality. And now we're going to go right into the 9th inning. The 9th inning is brought to you by the Calisano Real Estate Group. The Calisano Real Estate Group, it can be found at Illinois_realist_estate_pro, which is Benny Calisano, which is another one of the guys that
Benny.
Shout out Benny. He's big into the baseball scene. He's on the Yankees out of Burbank. He played for the Rippers, many championships with Rippers. And he's also played in other leagues, I'm sure. He played in Benito Juarez with La Barca. He's if you're looking for a house to buy, if you're on the south side, anywhere in the Chicagoland area, hit him up. His number's right on the screen. You can find him on IG. And this segment here, it's called Bring in the Closer. So Bring in the Closer is basically where our guests here at iRake Mentality get to make a call to the pen. They're going to make a call to the pen. They're going to bring in somebody here to join us for the last 10 minutes of the show, and we'll be able to get another insight of whoever the guest might be bringing. So, drum roll here. We're going to go right into it, man. Let's go ahead and
bring in the new guest.
Introduce your guest.
This is somebody who I really respect. So it's bringing the closer. Choosing a pitcher that I think, especially now in men's leagues, there are a lot of ex-pro guys that come in, but not everybody can hit the strike zone, right? So it's somebody that I respect as a full pitcher, a well-rounded pitcher that not only can bring it in the high 80s, but also has a very can really command their curveball, their changeup, and that they're also a competitor as well, and they compete the right way. And there's nobody else I can really think besides my brother. And I think a lot of you guys already know who Gunner Vega is, and you've played against him. You might have batted against him. I think a lot of people in Blue Island really know who he is and really respect him, as well as Petrowski. But without further ado, I give you my brother Gunner.
What up, Gunner? And
Oh, well, look who it is. His
Look who
mic
it
is
is.
muted. He's muted.
Oh,
Thanks for
nice.
joining
Right
us,
away.
No,
Gunner.
no, you're good. I can hear you now.
You're good. You're good.
Perfect.
What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing? Shout out to iRake Mentality. Thank you so much for having me, Jesse. This is a great thing you guys are doing. And thanks for the shout out, Ryan. I appreciate the intro.
Appreciate it, man. So tell me a little bit about who Gunner is, real quick. Who is Gunner Vega and what is he about? He's a pitcher, utility, everything. Tell us a little bit about where you play. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I grew up obviously with Ryan through Chicago, moved out to the burbs kind of going into high school. So I actually went to Matea Valley, the newest one with the Wabanzi and the Neuqua district. So got to play sophomore year as a freshman, played sophomore and a little bit of varsity my sophomore year, and then ended it out with them at the varsity level. Went to St. Louis University and played on the club baseball team. So kind of player manager driven. A lot of it did feel like men's league before the men's league, real track started. But once I came back and, got to be introduced to some of the teams through Ryan, I just wanted to quickly shout out these ones. A lot of it, for people that are watching, maybe play 1 or 2 leagues or maybe are looking to join. So I just wanted to give a quick overview. Shout out to Jeremy Ortiz with the Indiana Baseball League by Hammond. We are on the Mets, or I'm sorry, not the Mets
Whoa,
anymore.
hold
That was
on.
a little while ago. No, we just won it with the Reds. So shout out to them. They're in Hammond, and then played
to the
with
Reds.
the Bravos in the Azteca League. So shout out to the Washington Park League and Roy, Benito Juarez and Cicero. Shout out to Adam and Raul Mora. Love those guys so much, like family. The Blue Island Baseball League. Shout out to Joe Sanchez and Jay Alvarado. Those are the coaches from the Blue Island Brewers. Hey, trying to win that chip, man. Shout out to Jova and all them, man. I love the White Sox. Good competition. Great
You
baseball.
got some comp over there, buddy. Those White Sox.
Yeah, we got our work cut out for us, but we know it's just gonna be us two again. Hey, I don't know if anybody else is watching, but I wanted to shout out to the Chicago North League. We played with the Chicago Aces and Jason Rivero, one of the other guys that I didn't hear shout out quite yet, but really, really great guy, really
Love
great
Jason.
experience and
Big guy.
knowledge, and really got to teach me a lot as well about the sport. So love him. The MSBL, shout out to Zach Peluso, one of the best coaches that really just gave his all. You felt every play through him, and one of the best guys I'll ever meet. I hope to play for him again soon. But the final one out in Aurora, the southwest suburbs. I'm not entirely sure what that league is called. I know Ryan knows it, but the Aurora Men's Baseball League, that is really one of the last leagues that has metal bats for adult league. So actually, when you have a little bit higher exit velo because of that, it changes the game. High scoring games, really exciting. I heard Petrowski League, Benito Juarez used to be somewhat along those lines, and that was just a little bit after my time. I remember I got to see it in the heyday, but those metal bats really do change the game, especially for pitchers. But at the same time, it's just exciting
Third
ball.
basemans.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my
watch
God.
flip,
Or
yeah.
my card, man, or play back. But
Yeah.
no, I really got to play in all of those leagues. Never got out to Burbank, hearing a lot of great things. Obviously shout out to the champs, the reigning champs, and see if they can run it back. But no, as a pitcher, mostly, not really on the closing lines. I really do appreciate being a starter for most of the teams, or if not all of them. But I really do feel like that's where I really bring a lot of the value, a lot of the changing of the game. It's a lot of chess. I mean, I could speak for more than 10 minutes about it, but I just wanted to keep it along the lines. But appreciate all the time that I have already for that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you do both, right? And people like you guys out there in the baseball world, they're very hard to find. 2 ways, right? The Jobas, right?
Yep.
The Ricky G's, right?
Yep.
You're talking about the Julio Medinas of the world. You're talking about
Shout out
guys
to Julio,
that
man.
guys that hit and they can pitch. Those are very valuable guys. Which one do you like doing more? Do you like striking somebody out, or do you like to hit a bomb? Which one tickles your fancy, dog?
Man, I don't know. It's a kid's game at the end of the day, So having a good hit, having something where you come up to bat, and you can change the game, I think is really far in between. That's why sometimes some of the best players go 2 for 3. I mean, you get 3 chances, and you make every pitch count. Then at that point, that's why being on the pitching side, it is a little bit easier because I can change it from one pitch to the next, one batter to the next, one inning to the next. But when you have that amount of time to influence the game, you really try to use it as much as possible. So when it comes down to batting, those highs are high. I don't think anything really beats, coming up and having a game-winning hit. You know, I know you talk about that more than complete games, or, you know, I pitched 7 innings here, you know, and only gave up 1 run, you know. So to be honest, I do like hitting a lot more. You know, I hate and no disrespect, but, you know, I hate when, you know, I come out and some of the coaches are saying, hey, we just want you to focus on, you know, pitching today. You know, we're going to take your bat out of the lineup. You know, I don't want to swear on the podcast, but, you know, MF, give me that bat. You know, I want a chance, you know, until I'm 0 for 2, you know, with 2 strikeouts, man. You know, I want that, you know, put me in, coach. So I really do think the hitting is probably a little bit better, you know, but at the same time, I mean, you know, when you break somebody's ankle on a nice curveball, you know, sometimes that does make you feel a little bit better.
I mean, they always say pitchers are the best athletes, right?
And that's
I've seen
I think that's
play
a
some
beautiful
ball.
thing. Yeah.
I don't know about that. That's why a lot of times, you know, as a pitcher, you know, and I think I speak for everybody, you know, when you do have good defense behind you, you know, and you have one of those in between hoppers where you're like, man, maybe if I stretch out, I can touch it, or I can grab it. Let that motherfucker feel.
Yeah,
you know,
don't
deal
touch
with
that
it.
ball.
He's gonna make the play. You know, I like having that trust. So, you know, obviously playing with my brother for so long, you know, you kind of understand, you know, range. You know, I wish he was 5'10", but, you know, I'll leave that for a different conversation. But he does have a good amount of range, you know, so you kind of understand which ones you really should try to. So play, you know, PFP, got to play your position.
For sure. And speaking of your brother, what's the one thing that you really look up to your brother about? Is like whatever, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be baseball related. What's the one thing that you look up to your brother and you're like, you know what, that's my brother.
I'm 6 foot, man. I don't look up.
Yeah,
to
he looks down on me.
It never happened.
I'm looking up to him.
I mean, I remember.
All right, don't disrespect.
No, I got to be honest, you know, and you know, you talk to a lot of guys, and you know, I've had to do some learning on what is, you know, good baseball etiquette. You know, I understand that, you know, you got to bring some heart to the game, you know, and whether or not I agree with everything that's said, you know, I know why it's being said, and, you know, kind of learning from that perspective. So, you know, he did teach me, you know, a lot of the respect. You know, you give respect to the game, you give respect to, you know, competitors, and, you know, it comes full circle, especially if you're doing it for the right reasons. You know, there is a great time to compete. You know, I love competing between the lines, and, you know, as somebody who got to run a team, you know, for a little bit of time, you know, for men's league, you know, you understand that, you know, I'm not the most knowledgeable guy, you know, I'm not the most experienced guy, you know, but at the same time, what can I learn from these people? You know, what can I gain personally, you know, as a competitor from it? So, you know, I really do look up to his love of the game. You know, I think like anybody in the chat, I've already seen some great names, you know, people who probably deserve this spotlight more than I do. You know, they have that love where they could be in a rabbit hole for hours. I mean, this is an hour and a half, and it's felt like 10 minutes, you know, I mean, to be honest.
Quick,
so when you have that, you know, it really makes you passionate about why you love something, you know. So I think I've always really looked up to him and why he does it and why he gets up every day, you know, for it.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
Appreciate that,
What do you
bro.
think about that, Ryan? What do you got to say about that?
No, this guy's bullshit, man. That was really good, though. I don't know how you made all that up like that.
After the show, it's back to
No, yeah, I think that it still is instilled to us from our dad, right? It's like, hey, man, it comes full circle. Like you said, the baseball gods are real, man. You're throwing your helmet, you're doing this, that, and the third, and we all know guys like that, man. We could see their output, right? It comes back, you know, and the game comes back to you. You know, 0 for 3. We know, we've seen so many stories, you know, or videos, or even in MLB, you know, someone goes 0 for 3 and that fourth at bat, you know, they come in the bottom of the 11th or whatever, and they win the game, right? So, you know, I appreciate that, Gunner. Like, I think that's why I wanted to have him on the podcast, because he's a battler. You know, he battles and he competes, and ultimately at the end of the day, like, that pitcher role is you're taking on the whole team. You're going mano a mano, like man to man. You're stepping into my plate, like, and to get on, like, you got to go through me. Like, you got to have some pretty big balls to do that. So, you know, I give respect to all those pitchers that can do it, you know, and that's why most pitchers can only pitch, because, you know, it is a big thing. So for Gunner to be a two-way player and be able to do both, you know, I know, you know, a lot of coaches, you know, whether, you know, it's across the way where they want to reserve his arm and they don't want him to get tired. But then you have guys like me who know that the other team's doing that. So then, you know, I've been a part of teams where that our pitcher will hit their pitcher when they get in the box, so that it'll scare them, or it'll hurt them, and then they can't
Probably
pitch
goes
as
through
well,
everybody's
right?
mind at one point. If
There's
Might as
those
well hit 'em
strategies in
and
men's leagues,
phone
you know, and so I understand it when coaches want to protect him, and as a competitor, he's like, man, you know, I can hit, but I love playing with G, and everybody does, I think. And ultimately, sometimes those Sunday games, you're hungover. It's 9, 10 in the morning, and you got to bring that fire. That's tough to do. So respect.
Definitely, Gunner. Definitely, Gunner. And we're getting to the end of the show here. I have one more question here, man.
Yep.
Which league's your favorite to play in?
Oh man, you gonna ask every guest this, or is it just me? Because I thought you skipped over that question.
Save the rest of the answer for next episode.
You said favorite or
Yeah,
most
right.
competitive? That's another one.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do your favorite, and then let's do your most competitive. It could be the same.
All right. Well, I'm a little biased. I mean, I will be honest. Every time, I do get over to Petrowski, the Benito Juarez League, it's fun and it's different. And it's, I've seen it go through some ups and downs, personally. I mean, I saw Ryan playing before I was in the league, but, hearing the stories from my dad where, he's like, yeah, it was this diamond. He hit it that far. The bat flip was this high in the air, it came down before, he got to second base, so hearing those kind of stories and, being able to kind of be where, in my opinion, legends have been, it's interesting. I've seen it where there have been fans, either for the opposing team, for our team, or just randomly, just at the park, watching baseball, and
A lot
being
of
a
gambling
part.
happens out there. A lot.
I
Of
never
gambling.
said that. I never seen nothing, but I just know
You
that
might have,
for
but
a
you're making
fact,
somebody money.
for a fact, you got people coming out all over, and just enjoying baseball. And I saw Washington Park, and no disrespect, I've seen some great games over there. I'm not saying it's not the same, I just, I've seen it go through those, like I said, ups and downs. And so, kind of having that, like I said, just standing on the shoulders of legends, and kind of wanting to see what name I could make for myself, or the games I could play here, is really why I think it is my favorite league to play in, and it's got some of the worst fields, I guarantee, some of the worst, some of
I
the
always
shortest
thought it was
fences,
never about the field. I'm not a big
but
field
love
guy.
it, you love it till you can't, so.
And
I
in
think
men's
that's
league as well, like there's so many guys that play in different leagues, so it's so hard to say, oh, this is the most competitive, because you got you in
I ain't
multiple
saying
leagues.
that.
Me,
Yeah.
the core group of guys that we see a lot, they play in different leagues. So
Yeah.
ultimately it comes down to who shows up on Sunday. Who's less hungover. Whatever it may be, and that's who wins the ball game. So,
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, shout out to Petrowski.
Shout out Petrowski. Shout out all the leagues out there, man. There's a lot of good
Yep.
memories that happen out there. A lot of good legends out there. We could talk about hours about legendary baseball players here in Chicago. But I think today we've ran our time here for the rest of the episode. Thank you for Ryan. Thank you for Gunner. Thanks
Thank you.
for coming out here. Definitely put I hope you guys enjoyed, what my first ever podcast presentation, kind of put it together in like a week and a half. And Ryan helped. Thank you for your help,
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you again for having me. I think what you're doing is great. Your intentions are in the right place, and, you're bringing people together, and, if they didn't know you, now they know you, right? If they didn't know Gunner, now they do. If they, they maybe have seen me play, now they know me a little bit more on a deeper level. And like I said, this is just building networking, building the community. And, if there's anyone ever I can help out, whether it's a possible career to pro ball or, use my connections, that we're only as good as our connections, right? So, let's do it all together. Let's build this community. But yeah, thank you a lot for having me, Jess, and looking forward to seeing what else, who you got on episode number 2.
Hell
Yeah, I'm excited, man. There's many different possibilities out there. I'm in talks with a few people already. Definitely. But if you guys want to be on the show, even if I don't know you, I get to know you. That's what we're here to do. Shoot me an email at irakementality@gmail.com. If you have my number, shoot me a text, give me a call. If you do want to be the next guest on the episode, and talk about your story and how and what kind of things we can help out with the community and be able to connect others, definitely the trainers. I encourage a lot of you guys that are training the future talents of America to, jump on. So, we could get people out there for you and get some, some notoriety and visibility for, these young kids and parents to say, hey, that guy, Vega Baseball out of Aurora, they live out there. They could go hit you up over there. Yep. Chicago guys, same thing. Wherever you're at in the Chicagoland area, I'm just here to connect a lot of businesses together and, provide, the future of our generation to get some type of connection. You might not know, where to go. Maybe I have a single mother that doesn't know how to get me into baseball. Now you have a little bit of an avenue to say, hey, that guy's a trainer, or that guy's a trainer, or that guy runs a team, that guy runs a team. Let me just give him a call, because we're all open ears and open network here at the iRake podcast mentality. So for Ryan Vega, for Gunner Vega, I'm Jesse Zaragoza. Thank you so much for joining us on the iRake Mentality Podcast. I hope you really enjoyed the night. Thank you for giving us an hour and a half of your time. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys. Bye.
Now it's the difficult part of shutting it off.
It's playing right now, my outro.
Oh, is it? Okay, so maybe I'm not on it then.
Yeah, I think so. Stay in the studio until your outro video finishes playing.